new best friends. You're gonna find a book you'll love to pieces. The girl behind the counter recommends dollar books and shelves of graphic novels. Titles old and new, you'll find them all. With action figures, board games, toys, and models to add to your new Comic Wednesday haul. The comic book store, the comic book store. 'Cause that's where the books live, but it's also much more. It's the heart of the art form that we all adore. Your friendly neighborhood comic book store.
Ah, yes, now we are back on Comic Stripped, a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast, and I am your host, the mandated reporter, and frankly, I'm mortified, Mr. Mark Radulich, and happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And I couldn't think of a better way to spend Valentine's Day than discussing a rom-com starring Jennifer Lopez and Owen Wilson based on a webcomic with the one and only, he's on his way to you, the misfit and the miscreant, Ronnie Adams. How do you do, sir?
Oh, Peach Keen Jelly Bean. How are you?
I cannot complain. I went out and took my dog for a walk today. I got the movies in that I need to watch for tomorrow done.
Nice.
So, I did spend some of Valentine's Day with my actual wife, and we did Valentine's Day things. So
Nice.
I have everything is coming up Millhouse. How about you?
I'm single. So I went to the grocery store and to the dentist.
Yeah.
That the whole tooth thing I told you about. So for our listeners here, if I slur or anything like that, it's because I got a tooth thing going on. And if you can find me a better scam than dental insurance, I will call you a liar.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, so next Wednesday, the thing's coming out.
Well, speaking of coming out, let's talk about Marry Me. That
was a heck of a segue.
That's me, segue master. All right, so just a little bit of background on this. Everybody knows that I try to do as many of the adaptations of comic books to movies or television shows that I can find, mostly movies because they're a bit easier for me to digest and talk about than having to watch a whole TV show. And that was the whole premise of Comic Strip. Now, originally, this was Alexis's idea, and she was, she wanted to do a bunch of Marvel and DC that got adapted into animated films. But I quickly sort of took the premise of the original idea of the show and was like, no, I want to tap into some of these other really bizarre movies, comic books that people have never heard of, things that are not Marvel and DC proper, and take a look at them in the movies that they were adapted into. And that is where we find ourselves with this. And originally, Alexis lost a bet. It was actually last year's Super Bowl. But she's too cool for school. So she didn't really want to do it because, this isn't Star Wars or Marvel, and so it's not really her thing. So then Ronnie Adams says to me, hey, I'd like to start doing podcasts again. I've forgiven you for the Flintstones debacle, and I'd like to actually come on and talk some stuff. And I'm like, hey.
Whoa, forgiven me?
No, I said you have forgiven me for running you off after Flintstones. And so
I thought you said that you had forgiven me for it. I was like, what the heck did I do?
No, you've done nothing but be an angel, Ronnie Adams. In any case, you're like, I want to do more podcasts. And I was like, hey, I need somebody to talk Marry Me. I don't even think you knew what this was when I could have said I wanted you to talk Ham Sandwich, and you would have like, I'm there. So now that you know what this is and what I was asking of you, do you regret it? Do you regret agreeing to this?
I'm so pissed.
on a scale of Cinderella to Power of the Dog.
Oh no.
Where does this rank?
No, this is better than Cinderella, trust me.
Okay.
I am, however, I didn't know the origin story of this and how I ended up on it.
Mm-hmm.
She is on my crap list.
So I saw the bus coming, and I said,
"Mark my word, Alexis Hannah, mark my word, you're on my crap list."
That's hilarious. hilarious.
I will take that one show that you've been vying for, and I will kick you off, and it will be mine.
Well, you better do it quickly because Jason's called like half the shows for the year. Him and his wife. So
you can't do that.
No,
Stop it, Jason.
You cannot place all of these podcasts in the eternal state of dibs. You gotta book your shows ahead of time with me, like a year in advance.
Hey man, I book stuff and you're like, oh, by the way, I threw somebody else on there with you. And I'm like,
I threw Al on there. Al is an angel among men. Leave him alone. It's not
Angel. I was gonna call him Angel. Angel Face Al is awesome. I love it.
Okay, I think we can live with
Vox
Al.
Machina, man.
Oh my God, we'll talk later.
I'm just
all right. So you've never read the book, yeah?
Live.
You've never read "Marry Me" by who's this? Bobby Crosby, which is a webcomic.
Nope.
Is what this started out in life as.
I am a grown man.
All right. Are you familiar with Bobby Crosby at all? Are you familiar with his other piece of work, Last Blood?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So this is all brand new and exciting. Okay. Well, so this was a webcomic that came out, it looks like January of 2017. And it went for, I think the first set of issues went for about, I think it was 5 to 7 issues, makes up the first graphic novel. And then he's continued. I think it's up to, according to Comic Vine, it looks like he's up to about 10 issues right now. And so we started like a second set of stories from where the first set left off. But
yeah,
I will tell you just, and I don't want to get too far ahead. I want to talk about the book and then talk about the movie. But it's the premise of the book is basically what got adapted into the movie. Some of the character names were used for the movie, but this is not exactly a strict interpretation of the material.
This is not a 1-for-1. This isn't even a 1 for an 8th.
No, they really cut. They took the premise and kind of ran with it, and they changed it up to meet their needs for a feature-length motion picture, and then and they went from there. So let's just talk about the book here. The premise of the book is we have a pop star, and she's kind of an eccentric. She's managed by her sister. Her sister's kind of a handler. Her sister happens to be pregnant in this story, and they're talking before the show, and it comes out over the course of the book that she's got a very controlling dad. And that she just recently, kind of a Taylor Swift thing, she had just recently broke up with a celebrity boyfriend that I think was also a singer. And so she goes out and she sings, and in the audience is a super fan of hers. She just thinks she's wonderful. She's a gay woman who I can't remember the name of the character now. She's Sarah Silverman in the movie,
which I will not forgive you about.
Why do you not like Sarah Silverman? She's hilarious.
Stand her.
Oh, you're a crazy person. Parker.
Crazy person.
Her name is Parker. She's a big lesbian. Loves the crap out of this singer.
Did you say she's a big lesbian?
Sure is. So gay.
So gay.
She's so gay. And she gets her friend Guy, who is a high school guidance counselor, to come to the concert with her. And she's got a sign that says "Marry Me," and just like in the movie, she has him hold the sign while she goes outside to pee, which I thought was really funny.
Yeah,
there's a really great gag that comes out of that. She hands him the sign. She runs out of the concert to go pee in a bush, and then something happens, and she gets distracted, and she tries to hurry up and get back in. Yeah,
she can still see the jumbotron.
Oh, that's right. She sees what's happening. She sees her lost opportunity to possibly marry this other woman. And she pulls her pants up and she starts to walk inside, and she has a really great line about, I think I forgot to stop peeing. Yeah, I forgot to stop
peeing. She's just bare butt standing there. I mean, of course it doesn't show anything, but
Yeah. I mean, really, who hasn't just stood there and peed on themselves and then said, oh, I forgot to stop peeing. Yep. We've all done it. So anyway,
Beavis and Butt, they forgot to stop peeing.
So Guy gets called up on stage. He ends up marrying her. And then the first part of this
series, shut up, Ronnie, you're not funny.
The first part of I think it's the 5 issues is that first they need to see if they really got married or not. Like there's a whole legal thing that's happening. Dad finds out about it. He is on his way to meet them, and he's like, "Don't go anywhere, you crazy child." and she's like, I'm going to Africa.
Yeah, they globetrotting this. I'm like,
yeah,
the heck? How did you get to Africa?
yeah, apparently she's into like a lot of charity work. She gives this is actually a bone of contention in the story. She gives away large portions of the money that she's made, more than she'll ever spend in a lifetime, to charity work in Africa. So she has a pair of like biographies that Guy is reading, and again, she seems like just a lost soul. You know, she seems like somebody who is just sort of floating out there in the ether, and she's kind of looking to Guy now to anchor her to something stable.
Yeah. Well, the whole premise was like really odd to me. I guess you could. I didn't like at first. I didn't pick up on that. She just seemed like another flighty rock star, you know, kind of thing going on. But yeah, she was searching for something, and she and it ended up them revealing that she is 97% of her money, of her earnings away to charity. You know, and they're like, you know, the dad looks at Guy, her husband or her whatever, and says, "Do you know how much money she has in the bank?" He goes, "No, I don't have a clue," because honestly, he didn't care, you know. And he's like, $2 million. He goes, "Oh, that's awesome." He's like, "No, she's earned over $2 billion." And he's like, "Oh," and he's like, "She gives it all away." And he's like, "Oh, that's cool." And he's like, "No, that's not."
Right.
You know, so it was one of those, you know, dad moments, and you kind of really just at that point, I was reading a comic book and I was like, well, he really doesn't know her, but this is really idealistic, you know. It's like so I only know of one person that is famous, and there could be more. There's a pastor, Francis Chan, who donates 90% of his he tithes 90% of his paycheck from his church back to the church.
Okay.
Now he does write books and things like that, and you know he probably lives off his book sales, but he's like, I don't need this, so he donates 90%. So I only know of one person that does that. And
that's cool.
He's a really wonderful human being. You know, he's a really cool guy. He's like, I don't, you know, the missionaries need this more than I do, so he donates it. But I was reading through it and I was like, man, this is really, really, I mean, like, comic books are more than the superheroes, yes.
Yeah.
This falls under the fantasy side of comic books for me.
I was reading I've been reading books from this company called Aftershock. And so I just finished reading Hot Lunch Special today. Before that I read On the Stump, and then before that I read Kill a Man. And they're very like noir centered stories. Very, you know, like they deal in crime, and I think like Kill a Man was about an MMA fighter who gets outed as gay, and as it turns out, a gay fighter had killed his dad ages past, and that same fighter now has to train the son to fight. And then like On the Stump was a murder mystery involving a world where politicians pass bills by literally fighting on a giant wooden stump. You know,
I've heard of that.
Yeah. So, and then Hot Lunch Special was about, I think, like a Middle Eastern family that owns a deli of a sandwich shop, and like they're involved with the Irish mob of Chicago. Yeah, it was good. My point is, like, Marry Me is a little bit more juvenile than all of those, but it's definitely in that vein of comics of, hey, this doesn't have to be about guys in tights and capes and silly, you know, animal,
right?
Names. You know, it can be any story. Comic books can be just like novels. They can be any story you want them to be. They just have pictures. And that's what I tend to read those kinds. Like I didn't mind Marry Me. This was a joyful, light, breezy read, and I'm, you know, secure in my own self that if I have to read sort of a romantic kind of comic, like, who cares? Whatever. It's fine. It's fine, Ronnie.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not saying anything that it's not. I'm saying, I mean, it's okay. It's not my style.
Yeah, this is not going to change the earth or anything.
Lord no. This was fluff, man. This was like you said, easy breezy. Just one of those things where like I can see your daughter really enjoying this.
No.
No, I forgot. Yeah, I forgot she was a little militant.
Maybe you make her seem like she just like stomps around in Birkenstocks and has her head shaved or something.
Listen, dude, you're one month away from a March and a pair of Birks. I'm telling you.
Shut up. Listen. So over the course of the book, a lot of it is him trying to figure her out by reading her biographies, and then them two getting to the basic framework of this story is they rushed into this relationship, but now they actually have to get to know each other.
Yeah.
And what you were talking about comes at the end of the book, where the father finally does show up, and the father doesn't know what to make of Guy. You just married my daughter on stage like this was some sort of circus sideshow. The guy, what he makes of the father initially is that he's just this controlling guy that's causing his daughter to act out, and they come to a mutual understanding.
Yeah,
and I think
he also sees a financial security in Guy, knowing that he can make a talk show out of the advice that Guy gives, which is dumb to me,
right?
But
well, it was what it reminded me of. It reminded me of Mallrats, where
you shut your mouth.
Well,
sorry, go ahead. That was knee jerk. I apologize.
A very specific thing about Mallrats, where you have a character who obviously has a high interpersonal intelligence going on about him, and like, well, what does somebody who has high personal engagement intelligence? I don't think that's the right phrase for it, but stay with me.
I know what you mean.
There's different kinds of intelligences out there. Intelligence. Sure. Like Bill Clinton, it would be somebody who has a lot of social. Jesus, there we are. Who has very high social intelligence. So Guy has very high social intelligence. Jason, what's his nuts from Mallrats? He clearly has high social intelligence. Where at the end he ends up becoming like a talk show host, right?
Yeah.
Very similar thing here, where Guy obviously Brody, yeah. Guy obviously found a way to reach what's the girl's name in this? Do you remember? Is it Kat?
Kat.
Okay. Because I know it's Kat in the movie too, but I couldn't remember.
I think it's Kat in the comic too.
Okay.
I don't have it pulled up.
Anastasia.
It's Anastasia because it was Stasia. Yeah, Stasia.
Right.
Call me Anna. Yeah,
that's right.
So they started getting close.
Yeah, so they did change it.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. So Stasia, she over the course of the book, he's trying to figure her out, and she's really trying to figure her own self out too. Like, she knows that she has this talent or whatever, and she knows that she wants to help people, but she can't quite figure out who she is apart from her father. And so that's really the core of the book. There's some silliness that happens here and there. There's a bit where when they land in Africa, she gets him to drink blood as an African custom, and then somebody says to her, like, "Is that really blood?" Like, no, I'm drinking Kool-Aid. I don't know what they drank, which I thought was pretty funny.
Who does that? I mean, that was more nervous laughter for me. Who thinks of that? I mean, the only other blood gag like that I've seen was in both Red Dawn's remake and the new one, where they make him, like, in the new one they're like, "Hey, you have to drink the blood of the deer that you killed," and they're like, "Why?" It was like, "Well, that's just part of being a man. You have to do it." And then in the 1985 one, they mean it. He drinks it, and they're like, "Yeah, now his spirit is yours." And everybody's like, "Well, this is really dark." And then the new one, he drinks it, and they're like, "Man, that's nasty. Why'd you even really do that? We were just kidding." And I'm like, who does that?
So one thing, so a lot of this, like I said, is Guy trying to figure her out, but she eventually gets him to talk about himself, and it's actually the sister that gets him to open up. The sister who gives birth towards the end of this 5-issue series. But Guy's big admission, I want to get your opinion on this. Guy's admission is that the only reason why he did it other than not wanting to make a scene, but like his reason for marrying her was if he didn't rise to the occasion, the world would have thought he was gay, and he didn't want that, and he feels bad about himself for not wanting for being so concerned that people might think he's gay that he married a strange woman in the spur of the moment. What do you think about that?
I'm gonna be really, really honest with you on this.
Yeah.
Felt very forced. It felt very preachy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way it is. Like, who does, like, nobody does that. No.
You don't think there are guys that would make a decision they wouldn't normally make under any other circumstances, but they're
not like that.
Someone will think they're gay, and so they make a different decision.
I don't think it would be that fantastical, like first of all, that particular, I don't see that particular, you go and you see this girl, this famous person in concert, and they see your son, and you're like, yep, I'm going to marry you now.
Well, okay, yeah. If you're gonna poke holes in the premise, we don't have a story here,
right? I get it. I don't think so. I really don't. I mean, like,
I don't know, man. I know some alpha males out there that will make bad decisions just to prove to other people they're not even the slightest bit gay.
I do too. I do too. But I don't know, man. I guess so. But it still felt super preachy to me. I don't know why. It's not like I don't think there was an agenda to the whole book, but I do think that part was like, I don't know, it just felt weird. It felt, like that's the reason. It felt paper thin as a reason. Here's
the thing: he doesn't really have. Like I talk about this with a lot of the movies that my wife watches, where like we just watched the 50 Shades trilogy. We're going to talk about it on Thursday. We've watched Twilight. We've done a whole show on that as well. There's a lot of these. I'm comfortable in myself to talk about these things, sir. Sorry, I'm sorry it can't be fucking Star Wars and Marvel all the time.
Listen, I don't care about that. I'm just saying they're terrible movies, and I'm sorry you had to watch them.
Yeah, so
I don't care.
So are all the Star Wars and Marvel movies.
Me.
Okay,
I'm talking. You're talking about Marry Me. I watched Cinderella, which had the transgender fairy princess goddess godmother. Yeah, there we go.
Sure.
On it. So
anyway, my point that I was trying
to... it, Radulich. I'm comfortable in my masculinity.
Clearly. So I just want to I talk about how, like, with a lot of these movies with sort of these vacant lead women, that this is a character that you as the woman in the audience can project yourself onto. Like, they're not strong personality. Like, think about a lot of like male power fantasies, like, like an Iron Man or a Superman. These are strong personalities. We want to be those guys. We want to be Tony Stark, Han Solo, Clark Kent, right? Because they have the power, they have everything, and it's like we don't want to be ourselves. We want to be those heroes. I think women kind of, as near as I can tell, and I'm just sort of shooting into the ether with this, but it feels like for a lot of stuff that appeals to the vast majority of women, the female lead is somebody they can put themselves into. So they don't have anything. So everything that the female lead wants is exterior. And so they're sort of just a parking space for the female audience member to project themselves into. And, oh, look, now I can be the one that has the handsome man with the abs and all of the money. And I can be the one with the pretty sparkly vampire. Or I can be lusted after by this man wolf boy child. So whatever women are into.
Man wolf boy child is right. Jeez.
And so here, just to kind of relate this back to the comic book Marry Me, it feels like they spent so much time dealing with Stasia that they kind of made him bereft of a personality. He's sort of just, it's so funny. I can't remember if it's the comic or if it's the movie where they just refer to him as some guy. And he is kind of just stand-in for perfect, supportive, crutchy dude that is just holding this woman up. And they were like, okay, well, we need to make him somewhat of a human being, so we have to make him fallible in some way. Okay, let's not make him tremendously secure in his masculinity and be afraid that people might think he's gay. I've heard worse characterizations.
Yeah, I listen, I'm not saying that it was awful or anything like that. It's just one of those things I was like, okay. I don't care in the long run, you know?
Mm-hmm.
If that's the characterization you want for him, then go for it.
Yeah.
It is one of those things where, like,
he's a little too perfect without it, you know?
Yeah, I get that. I just felt like it was just a preachy moment in the comic book that could have been used for something else. But, you know, if you want that characterization, if you want that character flaw, then you need to back it up with an actual character.
Okay.
That's why I was like, it's preachy, because at no point in time did he ever give away at no point in time was he ever interesting enough to have that character flaw.
No, because you know how I was just describing a lot of like female lead characters for stuff that's geared towards women. That's kind of how he felt. Very just vacant, like a parking space for somebody else to project themselves into.
Right, and maybe that's what he was supposed to be. And I can dig that. If that's what you want, that's what you want. You know, that's the character in your story. I get it. But also, like, you bust that out, and it's just kind of like I don't know, man.
Let me ask you a question. Who do you think this is meant for? Like, what do you think? You know, they wrote this comic. No shit. So you have Bobby Crosby and Remy Mokhtar, who is the artist on this, and it said Bobby Crosby, who's the writer. You know, they're sitting around and they're trying to, you know, like they create this comic book, and they're like, okay, who is this for? Like, what audience are we trying to go for with this? What do you think the answer to that is? Because I can't tell I can't tell who they were trying to aim this at.
I legitimately think it was they're sitting around like, we don't have enough comic books for girls.
Okay.
I really think that, and they came up. This is maybe I'm being a little harsh on it, because I'm like, I need a substantially more storyline for myself. But this is vapid at best for me. I mean, like, okay, it's a little, it's definitely
slight. You know, it's definitely slight.
Yes, it's slight. It's you kiss the frog, you get the prince, blah blah blah, and you're done. Oh, by the way, he's kind of a douchebag too.
Well, I'm wondering if this is like a tween girl like situation where
it has to be.
This has got to be for a younger girl audience who they would want to be the pop star who can just fuck off to Africa at a moment's notice. You know, it's sort of it's like almost like the reverse like Princess Fairy Tale thing, where they have all the power, and you know they create a fantasy where if given the opportunity, they could just pick a guy out of the audience, and that guy would instantly fall in love with them. You know, they would be so interesting that this guy would spend hours trying to figure them out and figure out how to help them. So the more I say it, the more I'm like, yeah, this definitely feels like a preteen, like, you know, junior high-ish girl book, which is really limiting.
It really is. I mean, this is somewhere between the Babysitter's Club and Twilight. You know, you have to graduate somewhere.
Yeah.
And so my sister had all the Babysitter's Club books back in the day. And so that's why I know that name. But I don't know. It's just like, you know, like Breezy Reed, it was funny. Like it made me laugh a couple places.
It definitely has a sense of humor about itself.
Yeah.
I think all the characters are likable. I would not recommend this for my daughter. My daughter reads freaking like Demon Slayer and Hunter x Hunter and, you know, just Screw a Watermelon in the Caboose. I don't know what the hell she's reading. She just comes up to me. She's just like, I'm going to read this anime, and, you know, the clown killing a moose of some description. I don't know what she's talking about, but I'm like, whatever, man. $10, sure. It doesn't appear to be X-rated. So I don't get into it with her.
Hey, thank you for subscribing, Cheese It. Man, dang, that's awesome. Thank you, buddy. 3 months.
Cool. All right, so we're gonna move on and talk about the film, which again, it's kind of almost Marry Me in name only. It takes the premise and then it does its own thing with it. And becomes its own. That's why I didn't necessarily want to do like a direct comparison because they're almost incomparable. But before we do, Ronnie, what really could have helped this, the writing could have helped Bobby Crosby craft maybe a more meatier plot, a more substantial read for us.
A high school education.
I'm pretty sure he graduated high school.
Sorry, that was
jerk.
I know. I think Grammarly.
You're not wrong. Grammarly, for you listeners of Comic Strip, is offering a free download of the Grammarly software. And don't you want to know what it is, Ronnie Adams?
What is it?
Grammarly's AI-powered product.
Tell me.
People communicate. I will. I shall. Grammarly's AI-powered products help people communicate more effectively. Grammarly helps write mistake-free on Gmail, Facebook, Twitter. I like the fact that I make you laugh. You like almost fall out of your chair. Like we just lose Ronnie temporarily.
Oh, I love it.
And nearly anywhere else you write on the web. Grammarly corrects hundreds of grammar, punctuation, and spelling mistakes while also catching contextual errors, improving your vocabulary, and suggesting style improvements. To download Grammarly today, go to getgrammarly.com/W2M-network. Again, that's getgrammarly.com/W2M-network to download Grammarly for free. All right.
For free.
Marry me, say yes, Ronnie Adams. I heard you and Jesse Starcher talking about me on the Uncharted podcast. I'm not asking you to marry me. I'm just singing the song. Marry me. Say yes.
No.
Jerks.
Good.
So Marry Me is
we only made fun of you because we missed you.
Okay. Marry Me is a 2022 American romantic comedy directed by Kat Coiro. I think it's how you pronounce her name. So her credits to her name, it's got a lot of television stuff. She's directing 6 episodes of She-Hulk, just FYI. And she's also executive producing them. So if you loved Marry Me, you're gonna love She-Hulk.
You just ruined my night.
You
ruined my night.
That's what I'm here for.
Not to interrupt you, but I just got one of my viewers just decided to throw in there. If your daughter's into manga, tell her to check out Goblin Slayer and Baki the Grappler. I don't think you should. Because heard of Goblin Slayer and it's pretty rough.
Okay. I mean, I can mention it to her and we can look at it together and make an executive decision. But what was it? Goblin Slayer and
Goblin Slayer and Baki the Grappler.
Baki the Grappler. That sounds like something I would read.
Yeah.
Because wrestling. All right. Anyway, back to this director. Prior to this, almost a decade ago, she directed A Case of You in 2013. With Christian and Care. Sorry. Okay. She wrote, directed, and produced And While We Were Here, which seems to have won a bunch of festival awards, not the least of which was the Tribeca Film Festival. And it stars Kate Bosworth, Jamie Blackley, and Ido Goldberg. You heard of any of these?
No.
Okay.
Wait, what was the last one?
And While We Were Here.
Nope.
Her first film that she wrote, directed, and produced was actually her directorial debut, and she was a co-producer for something called Life Happens, which stars Kristen Ritter, Kate Bosworth, Kristen Johnson, Jeff Stoltz, Jason Biggs, and Rachel Bilson. Any clue? She got a bunch of television credits. Like I said, she's working on the upcoming She-Hulk show. So hey, I said Marvel, everyone. Woo! Get excited. Apparently, she's also worked on
attitude towards Marvel.
She's worked on Girls 5 Eva, Dead to Me, Single Parent. The kids are all right. She's worked on Modern Family.
Heard of
Shameless. It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. She looks like she worked on the pilot for Florida Girls. Yeah. She's done some work on Brooklyn Nine-Nine, The Mick.
Okay. Perfect. There's definitely hope then.
Yeah. Let's see. She's a film director, producer, and screenwriter. She directed the pilot episodes of the ones I just said, and directed and executive produced the majority of episodes for the latter series. She directed 2022 film Marry Me, which we're talking about now. Coiro worked on many episodic shows like the ones I just mentioned. She began her career writing, directing, and producing micro-budget independent films, including 2013 festival favorite and While We Were Here, which she shot in Italy in 11 days for $150,000. So there you go. She was born in New York and she lived in Miami, et cetera, et cetera. She has 3 children with her husband, Reese Coiro, who is also a film and television stage actor. And I guess looks like he was in Entourage. All right, so that's who she is. She seems like she would be a good person for this, someone to give a big opportunity to. So the movie stars Jennifer Lopez as Kat Valdez, a pop star who decides to marry a stranger holding a "Marry Me" sign, and that stranger is Owen Wilson. After learning that her onstage partner, Bastian, who is played by Maluma, has been having an affair. John Bradley, who is Tarly from Game of Thrones, Sarah Silverman, and Chloe Coleman also star in supporting roles. So, again, going into this, when I said, "Hey, I need your help with Marry Me," because Alexis doesn't want to do it, and I don't want to force her. Did you do any research? Did you see any trailers, or you're like, "Yeah, I'll deal with it. I'll deal with it when I get there."
It was so far off when you asked me. I did not want to go into this already hating you.
Okay.
So I just was like, I'll deal with it when I get there.
Okay.
I say that jokingly, but I just, at the time, I was like, you know what? I'll deal with it when I get there, kind of a deal. I was just like, yeah, I trust him. And then you made me do Cinderella. And then that trust waned. And then I realized I had this coming up. And I was like, oh, no.
Oh, no.
What have I gotten myself into?
Not this again.
Not nearly as bad as Cinderella, though.
Are you trying to tell me Ronnie Adams, the misfit and miscreant who plays D&D on his weekends, that a rom-com starring pop star Jennifer Lopez is not up your alley?
No. I come from the rom-com days of Matthew McConaughey and
like 10 Things I Hate About You and shit like that.
Yeah, and the angsty teenage romantic comedies like 10 Things I Hate About You and I can't remember any of the others right now.
American Pie.
She's all that in American Pie. So this one was just like, I don't know. Once you see Jennifer Love Hewitt as the girl of everybody's dreams, it's all kind of downhill from there.
All right.
She was perfect in that part.
Do you listen to any Jennifer Lopez's music or have liked her in any of the movies she's been in?
God, no.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. So Jennifer Lopez, you can't take it away from her. She's very talented.
Sure.
And she is absolutely gorgeous. I think she's in her 50s now.
Yeah.
And she looks like she's in her 30s, whether that's natural or, she's seen a couple of doctors. Either way, they did a good job.
No, I've seen the actresses who have seen a couple of doctors who look like their face is being sucked through a vacuum tube. She looks right. Fine. She still, maybe she's had work done, but she still looks very natural. When
she walked out in this movie, I was like, oh, hey, good job, God. You made that one fine wine right there. Because I don't keep up with it much, and honestly, bless her heart, coming from a fly girl in Living Color to a somewhat okay singer, back in the day to she's actually a very good actor. I remember seeing her in what was the Wesley Snipes Woody Harrelson cop movie? Goodness,
the only thing I can think of that they were in together was White Men Can't Jump, and that's a different woman.
Yeah, that completely. They were cops. All three of them were cops together.
Okay.
But she was in that, and oh man, that forgetting the name of that has completely thrown me off. But she's really coming to her own. She's an icon, She's
Was it
been
Money
around.
Train?
She'll be around.
Yeah, it was
Money
Train.
Train. Yeah,
Okay.
great. I mean, it was a good little flick. Not going to win any awards, but she did real good in it. And I remember, Wesley Snipes and her hooking up in it. And I was like, yeah, good job, Wes.
She's got quite a few movies coming up here. She's in Shotgun Wedding coming up later this year, and then she's in something called The Mother. She's in Hustlers that came out in 2019, which I still like. I should make Bailey review that with me when I win a bet with him, because I really want to see that. I haven't had an opportunity to yet.
I like seeing her get out of her well, what I consider a comfort zone.
Yeah,
because when she first started, she was into the rom-coms. That's all she did. That's all I can remember her doing. I
think the big one that it was in 1997. She was in Selena. But
Selena was good. Yeah,
she's done more than rom-coms, dude. You should see this list here. A movie she's been in. She was in Money Train. She was in something called Jack. No,
okay,
Williams.
I remember Jack. That was where Robin Williams rapidly aged. Yeah, Blood and Wine. Okay, she's
in Anaconda, which Jason's making me review later this year. She's
dude,
in
you gotta get out from under that.
She's had some voice roles, and
so the romantic comedies came later. I don't understand why I thought romantic comedies came first.
Because she was in Geely, and that's all anyone remembers now.
No, not really.
She was in Made Manhattan was a big one.
There was another one that came before that one that I remember.
Monster
Wedding Planner.
Law. It wasn't
Wedding Planner.
Yeah, you're right. The Wedding Planner. Oh my God, you're right. Yeah, she did go through like a big rom-com phase, didn't she?
Yeah. And then she did stuff like the one where she beat the crap out of her. Was that her? Enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was in 2002. Yeah. That was actually before Made in Manhattan.
Was it? Okay. Well, I remember seeing that and going, okay, yeah, get it now. Maybe this is in the order that I watched it,
Maybe.
But it was just one of those things where, like, I know she can do more than what she's doing.
Yeah.
Or what she did.
I mean, look, she's had especially in the early 2000s.
She's had her fair share, yeah.
She has plenty of roles, and it looks like she's not slowing down either. Like, she had 1, 2, 3 movies in 2015. She had one in 2016, one in 2018, one in 2019. Nobody worked in 2020 and 2021. Just nothing came out. There were no movies.
True.
And now she's got 3 this year. So, I mean, she's still a very successful, fantastic, bona fide actress. Great.
And the other thing is, I really commend them on picking the, what's the word I'm looking for? Unconventional leading man in this. They could have picked a Matthew McConaughey or
they could have picked a handsome man.
Chris Pratt or a very the chiseled jaw, muscle bound, whatever. But they went out and they got I'm not saying Owen Wilson's an ugly guy, but
he's not conventionally attractive.
He's not conventionally attractive, but he's a good actor. And
so my wife had a really
they got it. And
I watched this with my wife and my daughter Saturday night on Peacock. Because there's some odd reason, I guess. Comcast is really struggling with their Peacock service, as Robert Winfrey likes to call it. It's not a real streaming service, and and they're struggling to get people to sign up for it. They did okay with the WWE, but not enough to warrant the cost of running this thing, and so they are trying desperately to put some attractive stuff on there to get people to migrate over and pay for the subscription service. So Marry Me was
going on tonight.
So Marry Me was supposed to be a theater exclusive, and then they decided to make it day and date on Peacock. They just announced something else. Firestarter, which was supposed to be a theater exclusive, and is now day and date on Peacock as well. The remake of that, based on the Stephen King novel. So they're part of the 45-day window crew. So like the 355 is already, I think, on Peacock now, or it's about to be. Things like that. Anyway, so one of the things when I watched it at home, because there was no way I was going to theater, if it was going to be on Peacock.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife kind of turned to me. She was just like, "It's so weird to see Owen Wilson in a really earnest and down to earth dad role where he's not a complete asshole." Because all I can think about with him, and I went Loki, and she went, "No, you nerd." She goes wedding
Wedding
crashers.
Crashers. Yep.
That's who she sees when she sees Owen Wilson.
I get that.
I didn't really say Loki, by the way.
Yeah, you did. Don't lie.
No, I'm too cool for school.
Nerd.
All right, nerd. So this had a $23 million budget. It's currently made 16.5 at the box office. I mean, this thing is maybe going to limp over the $23 million mark. Its only hope of being in any way useful to NBC Universal, Comcast, Pornhub is
Wait, what?
Don't worry about it. Is if people like subscribe to Peacock and stayed with it for the purposes of watching this movie. Otherwise, this thing's kind of a bomb, financially at least.
Yeah, I get that, I hate that for Peacock. I really want, they've got me no matter what because of Yellowstone.
Okay, and the wrestling.
They've got me no matter what for Yellowstone.
Okay.
I tried to keep up with wrestling, but man, I'm just right now. I'm in it for I'm looking a way to get AEW. I can't handle WWE right now. But
right,
that's
let me get into
neither here nor there.
Yeah, let me get into the plot here.
Yeah, go for it.
Superstar Kat Valdez is a long-known starlet of the Latin community, known mainly for her failed high-profile marriages. When she reaches charting success with her fiance Bastian, who's played by Maluma, who I have never heard of before, but that's okay because I didn't know who Bad Bunny was either, and apparently he's a Latin American sensation and Grammy Award-winning artist. Bad Bunny. Sorry.
What?
Yeah. Don't ask me. I don't know apparently nothing about Latin music. My white self.
Apparently.
All right, so me being a honky and all, I'll continue to read. Their chart-topping hit "Marry Me" becomes a wedding anthem across the world, and they decide to hold their wedding ceremony in front of a streaming audience at a concert for their fans, like you do. Elsewhere is Charlie Gibbert, a divorced math teacher who is guilt-tripped into attending the concert with his friend Parker and daughter Lou, who has lately been less enthused with her father. However, right before Kat is prepared to go to the altar, the tabloids uncover Bastian's infidelity with her assistant Tyra, and it's broadcast to her fans at the concert. In a moment of distress, Kat sees Charlie in the crowd holding Parker's sign of the song "Marry Me," which Kat takes as a chance to do something different. She calls Charlie to come up to this on stage, and to his and everyone else's surprise, agree to marry him. Unsure, Charlie goes to the altar and marries Kat in front of the world. After the ceremony, the media is in a frenzy trying to market Kat as having a manic episode, while Bastian and her assistant attempt to explain and reason with her to no success. Later that night, the two are in a car awkwardly going through what just happened and exchange a kind departure. Kat goes home with a broken heart. The following day, when discussing how to handle the media attention, Kat decides to stay married to Charlie for a few months in order to avoid people thinking she's manic and to place a positive spin on the situation. Charlie reluctantly agrees as he does not want to mess with Kat's feelings or his personal life. Charlie poses for media appearances and even begins to grow close to Kat after defending her and getting the chance to spend time with her outside media and management teams. Kat also meets Lou and Charlie's students. Eventually, when Bastian attempts to re-enter Kat's life, Charlie decides he wants what will make Kat happy, but wishes for her not to repeat any mistakes. He eventually asks her to his school dance as a date, to which she agrees. That night, they kiss and they have sex. Following morning, they spend the whole day and the next few weeks together while actually acting as husband and wife. Charlie prepares his math team for a triathlon with Kat's helpful encouragement to the students. In particular, Lou has stage fright, in which can be helped by remembering steps to a dance. Bastian shows up at the math team's practice to announce that "Marry Me" has been nominated for a Grammy. Much to Kat's happiness, she has never had any nomination in her career. This news puts Charlie off as Kat and Bastian will have to perform together again, which causes Lou to fear Kat will leave them for Bastian. Charlie also begins to fear Kat is not in their marriage wholeheartedly, which eventually causes him to leave Kat. Disappointed, Kat takes time to write a song that reaches its own success past other hit songs, including "Marry Me." When having to do the press on The Tonight Show, Kat refuses a performance and says she didn't write "On My Way" for Bastian and goes to reunite with Charlie, who is helping Lou overcome her stage fright with the same dancing Kat taught her. Kat arrives at the stage, then holds up a sign asking Charlie to marry her again, to which Charlie agrees. The two kiss, and the three become a happy family with their dog. In the credits, a series of couples and their stories on how they met are shown. Aww, Ronnie Adams. This movie's so full of awe, I can hardly stand it.
No.
All right, I'm gonna jump right in here and with my thoughts, and then I'll let you tell me why I'm wrong. I love this movie. I really did. I really enjoyed it. It's not perfect. I can talk about some of the craft issues in just a second. But my wife and I, when we were watching it together, my daughter fell asleep on it. But that's more because she turns into a pumpkin after 9:00. But we watched it, and we were thinking about like Vacation Friends, another movie you and I reviewed, and how hard it is to watch a lot of comedies, especially American-made comedies, because of the cringe factor. It's people, the fun, the dramatic tension and the humor is derived from people acting like assholes. Like they just can't figure out how to do, how to act without being complete idiots no human being would act that way in that situation. And that's supposed to be funny to people. Like we talked about that a lot with Vacation Friends. And here, and this is a craft issue for me, but it was also somewhat refreshing. There's such a lack of dramatic tension. It's just them getting to know each other over the course of however long this movie is. I think it clocks in at just about 2 hours, a little under 2 hours. Yeah. It's 112 minutes, so just under 2 hours. And it's much like the comic book, and this is where they share similarity beyond the central premise. A lot of it is them just getting to know each other, them trying to, they're suddenly in a situation that they now have to deal with. How are they going to deal with it? And they don't really fight. They're not so mismatched and different that there's a lot of comedy in the getting to know each other stuff. She becomes fond of him because he's a regular dude. He becomes fond of her because, when you strip away all of the contrivances of being a pop star, there's a big part of the movie where he's like, you can do things for yourself. You don't always need help. And he gets to see the inner beauty, because again, everyone's so focused on her exterior, her singing, her good looks and all of that, how she looks in, tight outfits. And he's seeing her for who she really is, and he's falling in love with her. And the movie takes up a large amount of the runtime just dealing with that. And Ronnie, it was so refreshing. It was so nice.
I get that. And I will agree with that completely, mainly because it's good. It's good to see a movie that, where nobody flies.
Yeah.
Or explodes or shoots lasers or anything like that.
It's nice to watch people act like people.
Yeah. Even if they're not really acting like people per se. Like,
most people wouldn't find, I would say the situation is fantastical.
Yeah.
But everything that Owen Wilson does tracks. He wants to make sure that he does not want a celebrity lifestyle to disrupt his, he wants to be a teacher. He wants to care for his daughter. He's brokenhearted after his own failed marriage. He's doing and saying things. He has some self-doubt. He looks at himself compared to Bastian and he's like, I'm not for you. I'm not the right guy for you. He's the right guy for you, which I think is more a matter of him having a lack of self-confidence. But again, all of the if he's probably in his 40s or 50s in this 40s. Movie.
It's supposed to be like early 40s, I think, in this movie.
Okay. I mean, what normal dude with a teaching gig in their 40s in a divorce wouldn't have issues of self-doubt?
Absolutely. I've never been married and I still have issues of self-doubt.
No shit, right? So so to me, like, he's behaving exactly how a guy in that position would behave, which was nice. Yeah. And she's not a complete idiot either. Like, when the way they wrote Stasia in the book is she, like I said, she's kind of flighty. She's an eccentric. This one is just over it. Jennifer Lopez in this movie, like my wife looked at me and she looked at me when the movie was over. She was like, that was an old people romantic comedy. And
I agree.
And her takeaway was how like Jennifer Lopez just feels, and she's so pretty and she looks like she hasn't aged a day from when you saw her in films 20 years ago. But the fact of the matter is she is 50, and there was some like fourth dimensional thing about her in this where she just felt old. She felt old and over it and tired, exhausted. Like, she just seemed like if you looked past how pretty she still presents herself, This is a person who's just done. And
Just
would
exhausted, yeah.
yeah, and would like to just lay back and be left alone. And it's such a weird thing to see because, like, really, is that where we're at with Jennifer Lopez now? She is an elder woman, an elder statesman, if you will, because there are people who play like older women. Like, you never, like Rue McClanahan in fucking The Golden Girls. You would think she was 30 in that show, you know, except that she's playing an elder woman. The fucking show was called The Golden Girls, for God's sake. But you know, she always presented as very lively. With Jennifer Lopez, it's just like, I'm so tired. I don't want to be the butt of every joke. I don't want to be cheated on. I don't want to be in bad relationships anymore. I'll be with this guy. He seems like he won't be an asshole. And I'm like, I'm here for that, Jennifer Lopez. I'm here for you to try to find some normalcy in life. And that's a big part of her character in this film. And I loved it.
I agree. Yeah. That it is refreshing to see, like you said, people being people in these movies.
Yeah.
And as I said, I appreciate them picking Owen Wilson because he pulls off that single dad vibe really well.
Sure does.
Yeah, really, really well. And you're talking about people just being old and done with it. She doesn't look old or done with it, but she did give off that feeling of like, she's like, if I do marry this guy, it'll be nice just to get a job teaching people how to dance in a junior high. You know,
right.
Never mind the billions of dollars that I've got banked. I'll just quit and I'll teach dance for free, and they can use the dance to help them in their math.
Yeah,
which was dumb. But when you say old and done with it, all I can think is Wilford Brimley. Because every role that man had, he was old and done with it. Okay. Did you know that Paul Rudd voted sexiest man alive?
Yeah.
And he's a good-looking fellow.
Yeah.
Is older than Wilford Brimley was when he starred in Cocoon.
Wow. Well, Wilford Brimley is like Arn Anderson. He's looked 50 for, you know, the entire length
out of the womb.
Wilford Brimley.
Wilford Brimley and Arn Anderson came out of the womb with a comb over and a mustache.
No shit. So I want to talk about the Chloe Coleman, who plays Lou. She's Owen Wilson's daughter in this.
Cute dog.
She's cute
girl.
Yeah. She's a couple of things she's been in. She was in the Angels and Demons TV series.
Man.
She was on the show Superstore. Henry Danger.
Who was she in Superstore?
Zoe.
That's what I thought. Okay, yeah.
A couple of more recent things she was in. She was in My Spy with Dave Bautista, which we watched here, and she was great in that. Like, she was a lot of fun in that show.
Hmm.
She stars as Nevaeh in the show Upload, which I barely remember her, and she's the girl in danger in Gunpowder Milkshake, Emily, which I love. I love that. She's got some stuff upcoming.
Forgot about that.
She's actually in the New Warriors pilot that never got picked up. Huh.
Come on, let's just release that.
Yeah, really. Like, just throw it on a streaming service already. What are you doing?
Right.
She's in a couple of
continue it. I just want to see the pilot.
She's got a couple of upcoming things. She's in a movie called 65, which is on my list of things to review. She's in Avatar 2. And hey, Ronnie Adams of the Screenplay podcast, she's in Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I thought
Chris Pine.
Yeah, I thought she, you know, it's always a dicey proposition with child actresses and actors. You never quite know what you're going to get with them. I thought she did well here. I thought
she wasn't given much of a role. I mean, it was a good role.
She was an angsty preteen.
Yeah, it's just like, all right, act like you really act around your parents.
Yeah,
you know, don't want to be with them, but still love them. Okay, got that.
And they didn't. And the nice thing about that, though, is they also didn't go too far.
Yeah,
you know, like I've got an angsty preteen daughter too, but she doesn't act around. She's not Katie Kaboom, and she doesn't walk around the house like she hates me. I think. And so
give it a month and some Birkenstocks.
But I think here they knew just what tone to take with her, and you know, like even as much as Bastian is a jerk for cheating on Jennifer Lopez in the movie. Nobody in this movie, absolutely nobody, is utterly unlikable. Like, I'm not rooting for
Yeah.
Bastian or anything, but you root for Owen Wilson, and rightfully so. He's the male lead.
Yeah.
But he just seems like a horny Bastian, the guy Maluma, seems like he's a horny male musician. Aren't we all at some level?
Well, went a little deeper for me than that.
Okay.
Mainly
Like
because, he walked up to. Obviously, they're there together, and he's probably in on. Can't remember if he was in on the secret that they weren't actually married or not. But he walked right in front of her and speaking in Spanish, thinking that Owen Wilson couldn't understand, thinking that guy couldn't understand. He's like, "Hey, I got an extra seat back to Puerto Rico if you want to go with me." Like, oh, okay, I know guys like that, and I just want to hit him with my car.
I get that, but I mean, if you were a big celebrity, Latin Grammy award-winning star named Bad Bunny, wouldn't you be kind of a cock too?
Well, first of all, if I was a big award-winning Latin pop star, I would not name myself Bad Bunny.
Hey, listen, Bad Bunny is a previous WrestleMania superstar and Royal Rumble attendant.
So is Pete Rose and Donald Trump.
And Johnny Knoxville. And
Johnny Knoxville.
And Drew Carey.
Drew Carey, that's the one I was going for. Drew Carey got choke slammed by Kane several years in a row.
Right. So, I mean, who are you to judge award-winning sensation?
I am the judge because I watch it and it's there and I think they're all terrible at it. And then they should never have done that.
Who are you to judge Bad Bunny, sir?
If I knew what Mr. Bunny looked like, I would judge him even harsher.
Anyway, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that if you were that guy in that situation, you would not act that way.
No, well, I know because I'm not a dick.
Which might be if you were Latin award-winning Grammy sensation Bad Bunny.
Stop saying that. But no,
and future WWE champion.
Oh God! I actually watched former WCW champion David Arquette in a match, a hardcore match. He did very well until he got his neck stabbed.
Yeah, the one with Nick Gage. Did you watch the documentary? You Can't Kill David Arquette. Isn't that great?
Yeah, it's so good, so good. But yeah, no, it just to be honest with you, I've had guys do that to me before.
Sure.
And it went a little deeper than that with me. I was like, ooh, that was this was just like kind of a popcorn, watch it because I have to, not because I want to. I would have never probably watched this on my own unless it just.
I would never have watched this on my own had I not. When I go through the list of movies that are coming up on the Wikipedia page, I click every single link and I look to see what they are and who's directing them and is there a reason to talk about these things now because we've moved beyond just talking about Marvel and Star Wars. I look to see. Is this something that Robert would be interested in? Something I would be interested in. And as soon as I see adapted from a comic book, I'm like, done. We're doing this. So, but yeah, do you honestly think if this wasn't adapted from this webcomic, I would have bothered to even? Maybe if there was nothing else, but
you've done some questionable things in the past, so yeah.
You're not wrong. I might have because this was. You know what? We might have been talking about tonight instead. We might have been talking about Death on the Nile. So there.
Oh, okay. Either way, this was easy. This was somewhat fun. Mm-hmm. I didn't mind this at all, to be honest with you. I give you a hard time, but I didn't mind this. This was like one of those things where, like, I found myself not fully getting into it, but kind of like cheering them on the end. Okay, yeah, the guy got the girl. Good job.
Hey, real quick before we go, your issue with poor Sarah Silverman, who was a joy and a revelation to us all, a comedic genius, if you will.
God, why do I lose respect for you every time you take up for her?
What is your problem, sir? Why do you hate Sarah Silverman?
I think she is foul and not funny.
Okay.
And I think she is a shock comedian that relies too heavily on filth.
Wait, do you have that same problem with other people that came up in that generation of comedians like Dave Attell? Okay.
Yes.
So you hate Dave Attell?
Yeah.
Too, for all those same reasons.
Yeah.
Okay. Jim Norton, same thing?
Don't like little Jimmy Norton, no.
Okay.
I like him better now that he's on the radio and he has sort of a filter.
Okay. Because like they all came out of that same scene.
Yeah.
They're all filthy. They're all, gross shock comedians. So
yeah, I don't get into that.
As long as you're consistent, that's fine. But like you can't be like, oh, Sarah Silverman was the worst. Sarah Silverman was by far not the worst. I mean, Oscar host, what's her face, Amy Schumer, is far worse than
Potato Face. I hate her.
Oscar host Amy Schumer
She's
far
hosting
worse.
the Oscars.
Have you not seen that today? Yeah, that got announced earlier today.
They got her to.
Oh my dude, yo, let me quick grab it for you. There's gonna be 3 different Oscar hosts.
Well, I would have done it for free.
Okay, no, you got to see this fucking lineup they got because it's like, hey, we can't. Kevin Smith is upset we haven't nominated Spider-Man for a Best Picture. Why can't we do something to make people watch the Oscars? And the Oscar says, "Hold my beer." Your hosts are Regina Hall, Amy Schumer, and Wanda Sykes, who's 100 years old.
Get it! I'm not going anywhere near the Oscars this year.
This is gonna be so terrible. I cannot wait for Wanda Sykes to announce Power of the Dog winning Best Picture. I can't wait. I'll watch for that. The Gay Cowboy movie? All right. Poor Wanda Sykes. I can't think of a more relevant person who's happening right now. I mean, definitely not Tom Holland. Someone who's really right in the center of the zeitgeist of American culture than Wanda Sykes.
Who hosted last year?
I don't remember. I don't know if there was one last year.
Yeah, there was.
It had to have been with Nomadland one. I don't know. It was probably the laptop GM of Raw. All right, I got him.
Bring. Wait.
All right, Ronnie.
We have an email from the GM.
We have an email from the Oscar host. Look, if you've got Peacock, there's no reason to, and you even slightly like romantic comedies. This was really nice. Ronnie's done. It was a very sweet movie, a very lovely, nice movie. It's not going to win any awards. It's not going to knock people's socks off. Just real quick. The critical response was on Rotten Tomatoes, 58% of 149 critics, with an average rating of 5.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
The consensus is Marry Me Silly storyline is heavy on the something old and something borrowed, but the movie's well-matched leads make it easy to say I do. Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 50 out of 100 based on 43 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film a B+. While those at Post-Track gave it 80% positive, with 66 saying they would definitely recommend it. Angie Han of The Hollywood Reporter said, those hoping the film might push the genre to more extravagant limits may be surprised at how relatively low-key their love story ends up being. Yeah, I'm fine with it being low-key. I did not want extravagant from this. But sometimes that's the most pleasurable kind of fairy tale, one so close to convincing you can forget for a spell that it's just a dream. 100% agree with that. Owen Gleiberman of Variety wrote that the bar for rom-coms is not high, and this one, ludicrous as it often is, inches over the bar, but I would no more call it a good movie than I would pretend fast food is high in nutrients. Hey, it entertained me and my wife for the almost 2 hours we watched it and put my daughter to sleep. There's my official review for the box. Ronnie, final words?
If you're just looking for something to keep on in the background or watch with a loved one, just have those warm, fuzzy vibes, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Did it do the comic book any justice? No. The comic book didn't really do itself any justice, to be honest with you.
Yeah. This is not winning any Eisner. Marry Me's not winning any Eisner Awards.
No. And this is not winning any Oscars because one potato face Schumer probably doesn't know it exists. But I'm telling you, dude, I'm boycotting this year.
Oh my God. Calm down with your revolution. It's okay to just not watch. Go play some D&D that night. Hey, did you like the single? You know what? The Marry Me single in and of itself was kind of meh, but I actually liked On My Way to You.
Hold on. Don't you use D&D as a slight? Anyway,
I didn't. I said go do something you enjoy that brings joy to your life is what I meant.
I know.
Anyway,
The music, I've never cared much for her music,
Mhm.
but it was good. I mean, it was good. It was okay. It is what it is. Pop music,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah. Well, do you know if you want to be, if you are scrolling through TikTok, Ronnie Adams?
Oh
looking
yeah, I mean,
for-
I loved it, and I wonder where I can find it next.
if you're scrolling through TikTok looking for D&D girls who are seeking a hot boyfriend in the North Carolina area, and you
They're
want
not
to
looking for
send
me.
them, and then you want to send them a song that says that you're on your way to them, and so you pick from "Marry Me" Jennifer Lopez's "On My Way to You," like you would. Do you know where you can find the single to "On My Way to You"?
My God, it was a long road to get there with you, but I bet it was Amazon Music.
It certainly is, Ollie. It certainly is.
I'm just sitting here flipping my tie, waiting for you to get done.
By the end of that, Frodo threw the ring in the fires of Mount Doom.
God, next time take the Eagles, Mark. Take the Eagles.
When we started that plug, we were in the Shire. Anyway, Amazon is offering a free 30-day trial of the Amazon Music Unlimited service. Head over to getamazonmusic.com/W2M network. There's a link in the description of this podcast. Fill out the sign-up process, and you get to stream all the Jennifer Lopez music you could ever want. You could listen to "Marry Me" 100 times, "On My Way to You" 200 times, and then when you get done, you can listen to Ronnie Adams's favorite band, John Cougar Concentration Camp. Or you
No,
you
can't say that. I don't like them.
You can
They're
listen.
not real.
You can listen to all the various Lordiversity albums that have come out, like Humanimals and Super Flytrap.
If you want to
Everything.
listen to music that isn't made up.
Jennifer Lopez is not made up. Click the link, getamazonmusic.com/W2M network. After the 30 days is up, if you choose to keep it, pay the monthly fee like you do with Spotify or Apple Music. Or you can cancel. No fuss, no muss, no contracts. But it's a great service. We use it all the time to play Ronnie's favorite music on the Metal Hammer of Doom. All right. So that's it. That's our review of "Marry Me" the comic and "Marry Me" the movie. So this kicks off a week of shows here. We actually started last night after the Super Bowl. Myself and Jason Teasley talked national champions, American Underdog, and We Are Marshall, which probably would have been more up Ronnie's alley. But nope, he's here doing "Marry Me" because he's a good friend. Tomorrow, more movies that Ronnie wouldn't have liked that he gets to miss out on. We will be talking the French movie, French sci-fi comedy. I'm not sure what to call it.
Out. I'm out.
From the director of Amelie, Big Bug, which is currently on Netflix, and then Steve Soderbergh, who's been in the news recently hawking his new movie with Zoe Kravitz, Kimmy. So that's currently on HBO Max. We will talk about it tomorrow on Damn You Hollywood. The aforementioned Lordiversity, we're going to review Humanimals on Wednesday night. And then, as Jason likes to call her, the MVP of the Radulich and Broadcasting Network, the designated hitter, the walk-on batter, Melissa Radulich will be joining me on the 17th to talk smutty movies. Yes, sir. We're going to talk the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. Yeah. What do you think about that, Ronnie?
Yep.
So I
had so many things in my mind. I was like, I love Mark. I can't say these things.
Back from her successful Long Road to Ruin, where we talked about the Twilight movies, she's here again to hit the other one that women seem to enjoy, 50 Shades. So
listen, I don't like these movies.
Mm-hmm. They're not meant for you, sir.
They're not meant for me. I read the book. I read the first Twilight book for a girl that I was dating at the time.
Yeah.
And just to say, hey, I read it for you. It was terrible. And I told her thus, and but she appreciated my honesty.
Sure.
She said, and then we broke up shortly after that, apparently because I was Team Jacob. But
you like the werewolf child boy Harry thing?
I don't know. I just remember them saying Team Jacob and Team Edward. I don't know if the main vampire was named Clifford.
It was Edward. I
okay, so All right.
All right. Nothing on.
But no, I was
go
going to
ahead.
compliment your wife and saying she does a really good job on these shows.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. I've been on one that's like a decade now, but that's fine. Certainly appreciate nice things being said about my wife. Well, she's actually disappearing this weekend, which means I have all weekend to do all kinds of stuff. On Saturday, we're re-airing another one of our body count reviews. This one's manslaughter. And then at noon, myself and Dan Lasby and Chris Sheehan and definitely maybe Chris Bailey will be doing a live stream of the Saudi Arabian Elimination Chamber of the WWE. And then Impact, No Surrender, Moose versus W. Morrison in the main event. After that ends, after Impact, No Surrender ends, allegedly, Harry Broadhurst and I will be doing another Indie Cider TV party for AIW. You know what? I'm not leaving. And then we're going to review Impact, No Surrender. Sunday. I overbooked myself. First, we have a re-airing of the Beverly Hills Cop trilogy. Then Jason Teasing and I will continue our look at Black cinema, this time focusing on much ballyhooed and award-winning director Spike Lee. We're going to look at Do the Right Thing, Malcolm X, starring Denzel Washington, and Old Boy. And then, because no one leaves me alone, the Life is Like a Game Show guys beat me up and threw me in a corner and kicked me and told me I had to review this with them, and who am I to resist? So we're going to do an on trial for the movie Quiz
They
Show.
asked you once.
They demanded. They held me hostage. They demanded.
They said, please.
I don't think they said please. They said, hey, when are we doing this? And I was like, why? I'm exhausted. I'm like Jennifer Lopez and Marry Me. I'm so tired. And in addition to that, we may or may not be doing a review of Death on the Nile. It depends on if the person who asked me about it decides if she actually wants to do it. A week from tonight is our re-airing, our 4-part re-airing of the Daredevil season 1 that Gavin hosted a couple of years ago. I cut out all the nonsense. I cut out all the speculation about Power Man and Iron Fist. And it's about a 3-hour podcast now of all 12 episodes. I was on it. Robert Winfrey was on it. Benjamin J. Colon, Sean Comer. So we're all there talking to Gavin over the course of 4 episodes and 12 individual Daredevil episodes. So that'll be re-aired a week from tonight. And then we'll be reviewing the Book of Boba Fett, Peacemaker, and many, many other kitchen utensils. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to let Ronnie go ahead and do his plugs, and I'll be right back.
All right. Hey, if you look down below, like right here, this is my name, and also is my channel, twitch.tv/misfits and miscreants. Now, what do I do on there? When we are a live play, actual play D&D stream every other Saturday. That means this coming Saturday we will be playing D&D, and you will be able to watch us on this channel. We are running Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden. It is so much fun. I have such good players. I just wanted to show them off. They're great. They're a great crew. The game is really livening up, and we've got 7 of us. It's been a blast so far. We've got some things coming up in the works where I'm going to have one of my players do a guest game master spot where he will be hosting a game of Monster of the Week, which is another TTRPG. I will be more than likely, as it looks right now, hosting a game of the Power Rangers tabletop role-playing game, which just came out and it excited me, and it looks really fun. There's some other stuff coming up. I play Magic the Gathering. I play Magic the Gathering Arena, which is all computer. Then we're going to do some board games, things like that. We're really narrowing it down. And then this coming March, at the end of March, I will be going live here, there, hither, thither, and yon at GaryCon in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, which is the birthplace of Dungeons and Dragons. GaryCon is a convention that celebrates the life of the co-creator of D&D, Gary Gygax. So Ernest Gary Gygax Jr., which is his son, it lives up there as well, and Luke Gygax, one of his other sons, is the gentleman that puts it on. So I will be going up there, hopefully meeting Luke for the first time and saying hello to Ernie again, because I've met him before. Great. Ernie's a good dude. No matter what people say about him, he's a really good dude. Then, there's some other people there up there that I hopefully will get to meet. But man, it's been a trip so far. So if you like D&D and you like D&D related stuff, or you just like board games, things like that, give us a follow. And when we're not doing board game stuff and I'm not doing podcasts with Mark, you get to watch my big dumb head play video games, which is always fun because I'm not very good at some of them, and you get to make fun of me. So come and hang out, hit the follow button, and just follow along. We've got some big things in store. Back to you, Marcus.
Folks, thanks for listening. We'll be back tomorrow night with the AMU Hollywood for Kimmy and Big Bug. Ronnie, when's the next time you're coming back?
I think it's Vox Machina.
Maybe. Let's see. Let's pull up Ronnie Adams' schedule. Yeah, the next time we'll see you will be March 21st for The Legend of Vox Machina. Hey, check that out, Ronnie. Something you asked for, and you're on it. So, yay. And then you've got a couple of shows in April to do. Me and you, if you a ways back were like, I'm going to throw Robert off, damn you, Hollywood. I'm like, no, the fuck you're not. But you are in this particular case, because he doesn't want to do this. This is the new Michael Bay movie, Ambulance, which comes out in April. You and I are going to review that.
Yeah, that looks actually pretty interesting, so I don't mind that at all.
And then again, you and I were kicking around something, and you made a request of me, and so we figured something out. So May 29th, Ronnie Adams and I are going to be doing a triple feature of 80 shows that were turned into feature-length motion pictures. We're going to do the A-Team, Miami Vice, and Dukes of Hazzard. And then
that's going to be so good!
That's going to be so much fun. Yay!
So good.
Yes, sir. And then and then I've got him on a whole bunch of stuff over the course of the year. So I'm not done with Ronnie Adams yet.
That he has to run by me because he said, hey, by the way, you're doing this. I said, hey, by the way, I'm out of town, mother trucker. And he's like, oh, damn. I'm like, yeah, you didn't think ahead, did you?
I don't care. And on that note, the comic book store is closed. Be well, be safe, and behave.